Welcome back to AIBiz, the podcast where we cut through AI noise and talk about what actually moves the needle for real businesses. I'm your host, Sayan, and today we are talking about a journey that goes from literally coffee beans to code. And my guest is someone who has lived that entire arc in real time. Alisha Esmail is the founder, strategist, and speaker who sits right at the intersection of AI, entrepreneurship, and human performance. She built one of Canada's most recognized purpose led coffee brands, Road Coffee, where she paid farmers above the cost of production and launched Canada's fully first indigenous coffee supply chains. Now, she helps founders and teams use AI and systems to buy back their time, scale with a specific intention, and protect their most limited resource, which is their energy. Alisha has also worked in global development projects in Haiti, Nepal, Jordan, and South Africa, and she has seen actually how broken systems keep people stuck in a loop. And that is why she treats business as a tool for change, not just a way to get better margins. So, if you're a founder who wants impact and income, if your calendar is maxed but your energy is not, and you want to leverage AI without losing your soul, this conversation is just going to hit home. All right, Alicia, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you here with me today.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this conversation, and I'm excited to be here.
Likewise, Alicia. And before we get into the different frameworks, the five tank framework that we just talked about, or any kind of AI strategies, I want to start at your journey, and because every founder I think has at that moment where passion alone stops being enough, and then the question becomes how to build something that can actually hold the weight of our mission. So, talking about you, Alicia, you built Canada's one of the most recognized, coffee brands. Can you take us through that journey? Maybe, talk about that moment when you realized that, okay, this is just more than the coffee itself. I actually need systems in place, maybe AI to scale this impact, not just the product.
Yeah, it's been a wild journey from the inception of Road Coffee to now where I spend most of my time around AI. Coffee is a funny topic. It's drank every day in every single country in the world, except not a lot of people know about the supply chain and how it really works behind the scenes. The reason I got into it was my background in international development. I would often see coffee farmers firsthand, learn from them and their families, drink, tea with their grandmas, play soccer with their kids. And I started to learn from them how their supply chain truly worked. And I saw two very troubling issues that I wanted to address. The first one was most coffee farmers get paid below cost of production, and yet they're expected to produce this coffee every year. And then the other big one is this predatory lending cycle they get into where they have to pay between 35 and 70% interest rates. And so
Mm.
it was seeing that
Exactly.
firsthand that I was like, wow, something needs to be done. So moved home to Canada and started Road Coffee as a way to bridge the gap between coffee farmers and coffee drinkers. And that was awesome. We created a healthy brand. We were starting to gain recognition and we're growing. But the problem was I didn't have systems yet to actually support the vision that I had. And what I started to learn is no matter how big the vision, no matter how good the entrepreneur, if you don't have systems, you don't have a business. And the easiest
Mhm.
way I think to define a business is a group of systems and processes that
Yeah, full workflow, right?
it's full workflow, right? And so without those, you just have a hobby. And I went to work starting to create these systems internationally, right? Because we're working with farmers around the world. And that was awesome. Then we started to grow nationally and our systems were working. But then AI started to roll out in a new way. Once ChatGPT launched and showed us that we can take AI and start integrating it in our businesses in a totally new way, that was game changing for me. First it started with the simple things. Like a couple years ago, we started using it to help with content creation and flushing out strategy, getting email campaigns going, kind of those simple things. And then this last year is where things got really fun. What I ended up doing was actually building an AI brain for the company. And so, do you want to hear about it?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. This already sounded wild, but I'm sure you could add a whole new degree to that.
Yeah, so the AI brain's really cool. What I did is it's a number of different GPTs put together that have all the SOPs for our company, all the systems integrated, our culture, our voice, our tone, everything that lives in a founder's brain into this AI brain. So anyone on our team internally can go to this thing, open it up in a web browser, and ask it any question. And when I mean any question, I mean like anything about sales, anything for like creating a proposal to a marketing campaign to our roasting philosophy, an operational question, maybe a customer issue came up and they need to deal with it so they can go to the brain. They ask the question and then it rewires them back to the right department. So if it's sales and marketing,
Oh wow!
re-
And you said you use like multiple chat GPTs. Is that what you said?
Multiple GPTs, yeah, they take
Multiple
using
GPTs.
a
Okay.
custom GPTs, yeah. So we created a custom GPT essentially for each department, but put them together in a way where it works like a brain. And so when
Okay.
you need help, solving a customer care issue, it'll even tell you what you can do to make it right and how much you can spend to make it right before checking with your manager. So from an
Wow.
efficiency standpoint, it's been amazing. It's
Mhm.
cut down on a complete role and a half, so a total of 1.5, employees, like labor-wise, which is always awesome, like really helpful for businesses. It's cut down response time to customers by 80%. So we're able to get
It's huge.
appropriate. Yeah, I know it's huge, right? Like, because you think you're on the other side of that, hearing back.
And you're getting value out of that. I mean, not just, from your perspective, but also from your customer's perspective as well. That's totally like game changing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, our customers love it and our team loves it. Like, our team always jokes around, like, "Please don't take away the AI brain." It goes back to doing manual work, that'll be too hard, but we're pretty happy with it, and we're really excited that our team's able to use it to support the business at a larger scale.
Fantastic, fantastic, Alicia. I think a lot of us listening to this right now would be taking some inspiration from this whole conversation because it's kind of wild how this started off, and now you've introduced one more layer to LLMs, to further improve efficiency, and that totally goes a big way, like you said, right, in terms of the KPIs, the SKUs. So I want to take a step back and I want to talk about this big fear for impact driven founders, right? The belief that if they bring in automation and AI, the soul of company will disappear. But like you said, in your case, it just skyrocketed from this to this, right? So from your experience, is that fear valid, or is it more like, nah, you're thinking it wrong?
I would say it depends what the output is. Like, if we're using AI to replace our thinking and our genius, that part, maybe not great, but if we're leveraging it to free us up so that we can operate in our genius, that's the sweet spot. So I think what we're seeing a lot of is the first one, right? We're seeing people around the world that are trying to implement AI, but they're just, you know, not putting enough time into their prompting, not training it enough, and just taking
Yeah.
the garbage it spews out and posting it or giving that to their
Yeah.
customers. And
I've seen people, being lazy to not just complete a full prompt, and I've even felt, what are you even doing, right? So yeah, sorry to interrupt, by the way. Yeah.
No, that's totally fine. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people
And I just think, well, we got so accustomed, right, to not doing anything, and basically we're just not making our minds work all the time. And right now, even writing a prompt, that just feels like a big deal to me, or to us, right? I think that's the problem. So I think it's more of keeping up with the mental pace before all of this AI was did come into the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I think a lot of times people don't wanna put the work in or they sometimes don't know how. to prompt well, and it was intimidated by it. So a mix of like not wanting to learn and maybe being lazy. It's always easy to have something done for you, right? Then for
Right.
yourself.
Right. Right. And so, Alicia, let me ask you this. So there are two ways, right? One is the top-down approach where, where you're trying to integrate AI, but your manager already has set the vision. You're it has set the KPIs, but then you just need to match it, right? And it'll just go down the hierarchy. Or the other way is where it's the bottom up approach, where from an individual employee standpoint, he is basically experimenting and choosing what he needs integrated in his workflow, right? So, what do you think is more efficient in that case?
I would say both. Both are needed. If it's just top down, usually at a grassroots level, employees have a hard time implementing it. They might not like want to do it. But if they're coming up with their own solutions to problems that they face day to day, that the owners of the business might not see or their managers and supervisors might not see, then it can
Yeah, you're
transform the
valid.
business. Yeah, because a lot of times we forget, like, the best person to solve a problem is the person facing it. I learned that back in my development days, when I would go overseas, it wasn't, "Hey, I know what's best for you in this country." No, 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 no. The people of Haiti know what's best for Haiti. The people of Nepal know what's best for Nepal, not some Canadian that's over there working.
That's
So
so true. Yeah. Wow, that's a totally different, because because I've asked this to a lot of founders, and usually they would pick one, but I think this one really resonates with me, right? So you talk to the person who understands the problem, definition, the problem statement, and then you work from there, and that really lands. So, Aisha, I want to talk about your five times framework a bit, and where you quote emotional, mental, physical, relational, and spiritual energy. And most founders only track two metrics, right? It's cash in the bank and fire in inbox. So I want to ask you this: how did this framework emerge for you, and how has it changed the way you build companies in this AI era?
this framework has shifted everything for me. I got tired of burning out on repeat. I think it was the third time I was going through burnout, and I remember just stopping, thinking to myself, "How did I get here again?" Like you said, like there's only a couple metrics most founders pay attention to, and unfortunately, it's not their health. And I really had to get honest with myself and, face the question of, can I be successful and still have my health? Is that possible? And if I believed it to be yes, which I do, it meant I needed to change. And that's where this five tank framework comes in. And I believe everyone has these five tanks: emotional, mental, spiritual, relational, physical, like you mentioned. And how we fill them up is different based on culture, upbringing, personality, giftings, but we all have them. And when they're filled, we're in a good place, we're in the pocket, we are building businesses from a good, healthy place, our relationships are well. Um, we're what I like to say in the pocket, I just mentioned, that's like you're in flow state. The problem is when they're low and they get neglected, that's when stuff starts to go south. That's when our anxiety starts getting high. We start spiraling. We're blowing up our relationships. We are causing issues in the business that don't need to exist. We're making mountains out of like anthills with our employees.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you this, Aisha, like you said, and I think this the first step in this scenario is to identify what tanks are running low. So, so for anyone who's listening to this, what's the best way you encourage them to do that? Is it like, taking some time off, introspecting, and writing that on a piece of paper? Is that how you go about?
It only takes 2 minutes. So anyone listening today, actually, you know what? Let me do this. Anyone listening to your podcast today, if they DM me five tanks with your name, I will send them my free assessment. I'll send them a free assessment so they can do this on their own. It takes 2 minutes. You just look at each tank and you give yourself a rating 1 to 10. And if it's low, maybe it's a 3, 4, or 5. If it's higher, maybe it's a 7 or 8. And then you ask yourself, what do I need to do to fill up this tank? So I'm an extrovert. So for me, if my physical tank is low or my relational tank, let's say, I need to go hang out with family and friends and be around people. But some of my introverted friends, if their relational tank is low, they need to stay at home, hang out by themselves, and take some space.
Totally. Yeah, that really lands. I think because we love this idea of to throw around the phrase that the founder is the bottleneck, but we really slow down enough to see and ask, okay, what part of the founder is actually depleted, right? And the way you frame or reframed energy as something measurable, it feels very motivational, I'm sure, to everyone listening this. And so I'm just curious to know how these experiences shape the way you approach the building system, especially AI systems now. Like how does that background, shape the way you think about building AI powered businesses today?
Now I build completely different. I build with the end in mind, and I immediately start thinking through what are the first areas I need to delegate to others. Or now with AI, what are the first things I can start leveraging AI and automation that I know drain my tank? Like, I don't wanna sort through my emails. I don't want to do the mundane tasks that even my EA doesn't have to do anymore. My EA can have, AI help with those things. So starting there and then looking at every area of the business, from operations to marketing to sales. I think we're not I think, actually, I was about to say I think, but we're now in a generation where I'm starting to see my peers build companies with 2 people, and they're on their way to 10 million with 2 people teams. That is amazing.
Right. That's crazy. I've seen that. Yeah. And I think it has got a lot to do.
It is wild, and
Oh, yeah. And it has got a lot to do with primarily the uh, the the knowledge, like the abundant of knowledge that we have these days, right? So all I need is like a tablet, maybe a Wi-Fi, and that's it, right? That's kind of a boom. Definitely, it has a lot of negative aspects as well, but I think that's the whole essence of why this is like working out for so many people these days. And yes, that's the kind of constraint I wish more, product roadmaps started with. Not what can this model do, but who gets left behind if we do it this way. And like speaking of founders, I want to bring this back to the people who are listening this right now. So, Alisha, let's say, okay, let's talk. Playbook. Let's say a lot of founders this feels stuck right now, and maybe the business is doing all right. And they care about the impact, but the systems are chaos. So imagine you sitting with them, for an hour. What are the three first moves you would have them make to start moving from busy to intentional using AI and automation? So maybe if not three, maybe less than three, more than three, whatever works for you.
I would say definitely start with your inbox and your calendar. Your inbox and your calendar are super important because they run your life. Right? Like, if a founder, if an entrepreneur has an inbox with a bunch of replies waiting, they are gonna be stressed out until that's dealt with. If you start with that, you immediately are taking something off your plate. The second is your calendar. You shouldn't manually have to be scheduling meetings anymore or even doing the research for meetings. So what I have now, what my EA actually set up for me, so this is something my EA used to do for me, but now he has AI do it. He'll do the research on who I'm gonna meet with ahead of time, and the AI agent will now do that research and put it right in my calendar. So if you and I had a meeting, it's already done the research on you, telling me what you're about, the type of stuff you're involved with, even your communication style, which is super helpful when you're meeting with someone new for the first time. That's where I would say to start. And then second, I would go with some of the less known areas people might start. So right now, everyone's talking about AI voice and a few different really hot topics. What I would say is look at finance. I actually am predicting the finance industry to be completely disrupted in the next 24 months. I think bookkeeping will be a thing of the past. We will have AI agents and software to replace our bookkeepers, and even the role of accountants is going to change a lot. And the reason I say this is because accounting isn't subjective. There's no vision, there's no taste, there's no care.
Exactly.
It's numbers, and numbers don't lie, right? And
Yeah.
AI agents are going to make less mistakes than humans. And so there's already platforms out there like Hello Frank that are amazing. You, as a founder, will get it with Hello Frank. You, as a founder, get your numbers emailed to you every day. So imagine having the important financial numbers you need every single day in your inbox to make real live decisions instead of waiting, a month later after the bookkeepers finish up.
Mm. I love that. So, two important things you shared in this. I think the first is for anyone who listens to this is to, keep yourself organized so that you save a lot of your time from the unnecessary chaos. I think that's essentially the fundamental thing. And the second thing that you shared about the finance industry, that's quite interesting. And I think it's bound to happen because, like you said, right? It's just like there's nothing beyond numbers in that case. Like it's a kind of a the workflow is already there. You just need to automate that kind of a thing. And I think the real takeaway from this conversation for me is about scaling. It's about isn't about doing everything. I think it's about doing the right things. For example, making your day more organized at the beginning of your first 10 to 15 minutes with the least friction or least amount of energy required in a day. So Alicia, thank you. Thank you for breaking this down with so much clarity and honesty. And I think that's the best place to wrap this on totally. So before we wrap this off, Alicia, what's the best way that our listeners can reach out to you and go check out your work and maybe even book a call with you?
Yeah, you can check me out on Instagram at LinkedIn at Alisha Esmail. Send me a DM. Always happy to chat and connect. And if there's ways I can support your business journey, I'm here for it.
Perfect, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Alicia. Listeners, I'll include the details in the show notes for you, so please do check them out. And with that, we hit today's mark on this episode on AI Biz. Um, Alisha, this has been a very grounded reality check, I think, on what it takes to build, impact-driven companies in today's AI world. And for anyone who's listening to this right now, these are many challenge, guys, for this week. The first thing is I want you to, organize. I want you to work at your calendar and your to-do list, right? I want you to circle 3 tasks that drain your energy, but do not actually require more of your unique things. And I want you to ask one simple question that can I automate this, or if I can't, can I delegate this to someone, right? And then pick one of those tasks and experiment with an AI tool or a simple system to either automate or make it lighter, maybe try to delegate that, not perfect, just the right amount. Because like Alicia said, success is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters the most without burning out your tanks. So, if this episode hit home for you, I want you to share it with your founders who is struggling impact and scale right now. And as always, keep building companies with that future self and your community will be proud of. This is Sayan, and this has been AIBiz. Until next time.